5 to 10. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. You're at a city council meeting, and it is Monday, October 15th, 2018. We'll start this meeting with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Solomon, Modrick, Nordstrom, Drew, Scott, Drury, Laurenti, Roberts, Armstrong, Lewis. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Tonight's invocation will be by Whitney Rencounter, and when he is finished, then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with each and every one of you on this beautiful evening in Rapid City. And I ask you to open your minds and your hearts and pray along with me this evening. Creator, we thank you for this beautiful day that you have given to us. We thank you for all the blessings. And we ask that you continue to watch over our community here in Rapid City. We ask that you bring blessings upon each and every individual in here, and our friends and our relatives that are not here. We ask that you bestow blessings and give them the guidance that they need. We ask that you continue to help us in this community of Rapid City, in the beautiful Black Hills. We ask that you continue to help us in the decisions that are made, in the relationships that are formed, and the collaborations that continue. We ask that you continue to watch over us and guide our thoughts, guide our minds, our bodies, our spirits, as we continue to make our community a better place for everyone. We thank you for all that you have given to us, all the things that you have provided to us. And as we look around the beautiful place that we live, we ask that you continue to help us in a good way to work together and to help one another, and to continue to guide us. At this time, friends and relatives, I'm going to sing a song, a prayer song in my language, and you can pray however you believe, however you pray. We just will work together in a good way. Toka shela wa mayakayo, toka shela wa mayakayo, toka shela wa mayakayo, wa mayakayo. Ay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mitakuye oyase. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, now for the adoption of the agenda. This is a time when the council can adopt the agenda as written, or they can make modifications to it. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion to adopt from Solomon, and a second by Drew. All in favor of adoption of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now I'll have an award and recognition. Well, many of these folks up here are from Rapid City's Sustainability Committee, and they have a presentation and an award to give tonight.
Good evening. My name is Lisanne Zeller. I'm Vice Chair of the Rapid City Sustainability Committee. With me tonight, we have several members from our committee over here and some representatives from Regional Health who I'll introduce in a moment. But the recipient of our October Sustainability Award is the Regional Health Sustainability. We're very honored to give this award to them. They were nominated as a result of their numerous initiatives to improve the sustainability of regional health operations and provision of healthcare services in Rapid City. They've completed several projects, and I'm going to run through a few of those quickly for you. They've been working on improving energy efficiency by using new HVAC, LED lighting, energy efficient replacement motors, and other small initiatives. This has saved them $432,000 each year. They've been switching to disposable wipes switching from disposable wipes to reusable microfiber cloths. That's helping to reduce landfill waste. They're giving new purpose to outdated, expired medical supplies, furniture, and equipment by donating these items to the nonprofit Convoy of Hope, who distributes them to impoverished communities around the world. It also helps keep those out of the landfill. They've been reusing and repurposing equipment and furniture in their current remodeling and expansion activities, expanding their recycling efforts. They've been purchasing produce from local food vendors for use in their culinary services, as well as growing their own produce on site to use in their cafeteria. They've established honeybees on their grounds, and that's helping to pollinate those on-site gardens as well as improve the overall environment. They're also looking to share that honey product with their patients and families. And then they've recently installed 2 solar arrays at each of the regional health urgent care facilities in Rapid City, and those are going to supply about 70% of their electricity needs at both of those buildings. So regional health sustainability efforts have resulted in many benefits within their organization and to the greater Rapid City community. This includes reducing landfill waste, lowering carbon emissions, improving the regional economy through utilization of local resources, protection of natural resources, habitat creation, and improving the well-being and quality of life for patients and employees at Regional Health. As such, we find their efforts to be a wonderful example of social, environmental, and economic sustainability for Rapid City. Accepting the award tonight, we have Liz Kaiser from Regional Health Sustainability, Scott Brinker, the Regional Health Chef, and Dave Ellenbecker, the VP of Facilities Management. With that, I'll let you hand the award over. Mayor, please.
Just a few words. Just want to thank the Sustainability Committee and the City Council for this great award. We've had a big team effort there, broad scale for the last few years, trying to really be better stewards of the environment and partner with the community in this effort. So thank you very much for this honor.
Take my leg room, man.
Next on the agenda is a presentation by the Minaloosahan Okola Kichiapi ambassadors. I can say that if it's written down in front of me. Represented by Karen Mortimer. So Karen, you can approach the podium.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the City Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We're honored to be here tonight. So I have a little PowerPoint. Here it goes. And there's a lot of slides, but I'm not going to sit on them very long. There'll be three of us who are going to be sharing information tonight. I have the pleasure of being with MOA for about 4 years now. We'll be joined by Laura Armstrong, who is going to talk a little bit about her experience at the Museum of Tolerance, and we'll end with Whitney Rencounter. I would also like to acknowledge Chief Carl Jageras, who is an active and one of the very first members of MOA. So thank you very much for letting us share a little bit with you tonight. My job is to just introduce MOA and kind of give you an overview. So I'm going to try to do that. I know we only have a few short minutes, so I'll try to be brief, which is hard for me often. Minalusahan Okolakichiapi ambassadors, and congratulations. You did a really great job of pronouncing that. Minalusahan means rapid city. Minalusahan means rapidly, swiftly moving water. And Okolakichiapi means circle of friends. Okola is a friend in Lakota. So our work began about 4 years ago, and the problem that we were addressing and still do are the lack of or broken relationships between the Native and non-Native communities in our city. Who are the MOAs? So our MOAs are a group of Native and non-Native leaders who started, as I said, about 4 years ago, but it's grown and changed, and it's pretty exciting. They're people from a variety of sectors of the community. I'll share briefly kind of those sectors in just a minute. Basically, we asked people, this was by invitation, we asked people if they were interested in working on this problem, and they said yes. So this was the MOA back in 2015. And if you look carefully, you'll see people that you know and who have done an amazing job of getting us started. This is the MOA, and this is certainly not all of them. This was a meeting that we had last year in March. And as you can see, the group is still rather robust. And Laura's going to talk about this briefly, but we were so fortunate to be able to arrange a trip to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles. And this was certainly led and in partnership with with Carl Jageras and some grant money that he had, and most importantly, his heart, and how he and I kind of brainstormed that it's really important. We found at the very beginning of our work, if we went outside our comfort zones and learned together, we developed relationships. So this was the group from the Museum of Tolerance. 37 leaders from our community went, and it truly created a bond that just will never be changed. When we were at the Museum of Tolerance, well, this was a quote that was on the wall, and it really kind of embodies some of the work that we're doing, in that hope lives when people remember. And so part of our work is to talk about history and place. We say history and place matters and relationships matter. While we know that history and place is really critical, relationships certainly trump almost anything. So these are just some of our partners. I won't go into them in detail. I know you have these in your notes, but these are all sectors. Leaders from all of these sectors have been involved since the beginning, and we're growing. Another piece I want to leave you with is when we came up with the Minalusahan Okolakichiapi ambassadors, which is a mouthful. We knew that it was hard to say, but this work is hard. And at the same time, we came up with this kind of a grounding principles, guiding principles for our work. and that's BEAM. And it stands for Bridging Cultures, Educating Ourselves and Others, Advocating and Modeling Respectful Behaviors. It's really an attitude, it's wholeheartedness in terms of working together with Native and non-Native communities. So we've done a number of things as champions. You can look through the list. It's been exciting, it grows, it's not going away, and I would invite you as the city to know that this is our work as a city. Some examples, the parade, we did TP 101. This year we had the blessing of the arena that was really exciting. We've supported new initiatives, the Care Center, we've been so excited to do that and supported that with a grounds blessing. And then you probably have been a little bit aware of the work with the Rapid City Indian School lands. And just this on Monday, Native American Day, we sponsored the Memorial Walk. And Mayor Allender and Dr. Laurie Simon did a wonderful job of getting us launched. We also had ceremony, a wiping of the tears, because this walk was to remember the children who attended and passed away at the Rapid City Indian Boarding School and all the history around that. So I'm going to turn this over to Laura. And I just want to say that one of the things we know that works is to be quietly respectful and aggressively authentic. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura.
All right, I have limited time here, I know that, and I'll be short and sweet. It's difficult for me as well, Karen, so. All right, but let me start. When I was 16, I had the opportunity to go over to Israel and study. The short story is I studied religion over several months, and it was a tremendous life experience for me. And even though I saw famous historical and ancient sites, what was most impactful to me is when I went to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum. And looking back now, I know that that specific point in time was, it just blew me out of my teenage egocentric bubble. And you can be taught history through classrooms and textbooks, but there's something substantial when you see that firsthand, and it really shifted my entire perspective. So we're going to fast forward to the MOA Museum of Tolerance project that we did in January. And obviously, I'm quite a bit older now, hopefully a little bit wiser. And when we went to the Museum of Tolerance, the very first day, we went to the Holocaust portion. And I was immediately sucked back in time to when I was a teenager. And it was obviously equally moving, but to experience that as an adult, and then also share that experience with diverse people from my community that were also leaders, it took it to another level. So on the second day, we were exposed to other cultures that had suffered mass discrimination, hate, social exile, and racism. These were the African slaves, the Chinese, the Irish, the Italians, the Japanese internment camps, the Mexicans. And if you study the past and not just regurgitate what you were taught in school, there's a much deeper and much darker history. And unfortunately, we haven't been taught the vast complexities of our past, nor the different cultural and historical perspectives. But I feel that it's up to each of us as council members, as mayors, as just people in our community to acknowledge, accept, but also respect our differences. So I feel that we're currently going through a dramatic demographic shift right now, not only in this country, but globally. And while we can't change things from the past and we can't change things overnight, we can at least start locally and organically and connect with one another. And through MOA, we're doing that. And I'm very grateful to be a part of this group, not only just for the connections or the friendships that I've made, but I'm really proud of the things that Karen showed us, the things that we have done, the things that we're currently doing, and I really look forward to the great things that we're going to do together in the future. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Whitney Rencounter II. I come from the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, the Hunkpati Dakota Oyate, which is right here in central South Dakota. Grew up in a single-parent home, and I was destined to become another statistic. Growing up on the reservation, we know there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of divisive challenges that we face in our country. However, living in Rapid City has been something I love to be part of my life. Being involved with MOA, Miniluzahon Okolakichiapi Ambassadors, has really given myself and many other Native peoples in our community a lot of confidence and I would say a passion to continue to build upon working together and to do away with some of the shame and the historical differences that we had in the past and to work together for our children. And I would say it's continuing to help us in many ways. And I tell you what, it's been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to work with many of you and people in our community in these efforts to help bridge cultures. And I think that's so important as we move forward because our children, they want to build and work together, and I think we need to lead them. So that for me has really been a good part and I think an inspiration to be part of the MOA group. So thank you very much for your time.
We want to thank you for your interest. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. I'll leave this with Daryl. I've got some handouts that kind of summarize MOA. And thank you for all you do and all you do to help our city become better every day. Thank you very much.
And thank you, guys.
Move to acknowledge.
Motion to acknowledge by Lewis, second by Laurenti. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, next on the agenda. We don't have any general public comment speaker requests, so we'll move on to non-public hearing items 3 through 37. We'll open and close public comment on items 3 through 34. Takes us on to consent items 3 through 34. Consent items can be approved all with one vote, or the council can remove items for separate consideration. Is there a motion? Motion to approve by Lewis, second by Armstrong. All in favor of approval of the consent items say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. All right. Now on to non-consent items 35 through 37. We'll open public comment on items 35 through 37. We have a speaker request form on item 35 from Dane Boomsma. And Dane, for this portion, there's a timer over here, and you have 3 minutes. However, when we take care of your item, it's likely the council would want to interact with you more.
I sat close. I'm Dane Boomsma with Boom Construction. I'm here to request that you do grant the exception for what I've applied for. This kind of came about. One of the main reasons that I'm coming in front of the council is I'm building a strip mall in Eglin, on the corner of Eglin and Elkvale Road. I have 5 separate suites, and I would like to meter the individual suites with individual water meters. And the reason is I'm not in the water business. I don't meter the separate power. I don't meter the separate gas, cable. All other utilities that are provided to the building are metered separately by the owner of those utility companies. And Rapid City is in the water business. I feel like they should be metered individually so the Rapid City can bill those tenants individually as well. I have talked to the water department. Meter reading is not an issue with the new radio meter readers that are now in place, which is actually post the code that is currently in place, which is in 2012. But as I go through this, and I since the Public Works Committee meeting that I went to, I've done some research and kind of read into the Rapid City Municipal Code as well as the IDCM, and just to educate myself and figure out, what am I reading. And I'm finding that there's, I don't know that I actually need to apply for this exception when I'm reading through the codes. So the city engineering staff sent me a letter, and in the letter, and I believe you guys have all the information in your packets that they sent, and it says I'm requesting the exception to the RCMC 13-08-300, which is below there, that says the supply of water through each separate service must be recorded by 1 meter. So what I'm trying to do is provide 5 services with 5 meters. So in my opinion, I am meeting this definition per the RCMC, where I am providing a separate service metered by 1 meter on each service. In Dan Kuhl's letter to me, which is on the next page of your packet, he states in there, and I can put it on the here, the underlined part, the individual services were installed. So that's from the engineering department that says I have installed individual services. And then if you go to the design criteria manual, there's another section in there that states water and sewer services. The very top line, separate service lines shall be provided for each dwelling unit. So what defines a dwelling unit? You don't have a definition in your design criteria manual, but in my opinion, I'm providing separate units for lease, and per your IDCM, I'm supposed to provide separate service lines, which I have done. So I have a lot more to say, but my time is up, so I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And that'll close public comment time. And now, starting with item 35, Public Works Committee items, we'll go to Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 35, deny the appeal by Boom Construction, Inc. of an exception request denial to install 5 individual water meters, in a strip mall under one ownership. During Public Works Committee, the motion was carried to deny by 3-1 with Roberts opposed.
Okay, Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If possible, I'd like to speak to Public Works Director, Mr. Tech, please.
Yes.
Dale, as I read it, it was inspected in mid-August, and that's when they observed 5 individual water services had been installed. And it was also cited that this was a deviation from the approved plans. The approved plans have that detail, that kind of detail in them, I assume, then.
That's correct. The approved plans showed it being constructed properly. Mr. Boomsma made a deviation from that and installed it. One point of clarification I would like to make is he just spoke about having 5 service lines. He has 1 service line to the property, and that's the main line that ties into the city public main that goes to his property. That's the service line. So he does not have 5 individual service lines. He has 1.
All right. Thank you very much. I yield.
Lisa Modrick.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I also ask Dale Tech a question?
Please.
Thank you. So we had some discussion that was good at committee, but it hasn't stopped my mind thinking about a resolution to this. And one of the questions that I had that was brought up by Mr. Boomsma is that really the criteria manual was worked on in 2007, finally approved in 2012, which in dog years is a lot of years. And now here we are at 2018 with a changing economy, changing in technology, and the fact that we are in the water business, and we want to build our revenues in the water business to support the water business. Why would we not want to change this so that it does become, I was hearing the word condo at one point, suite is a great word, so it becomes a suite responsibility for shutoffs, for fees for non-payment, for startups, for other things that maybe we could generate revenues from. Why wouldn't we want to do that as a business?
We are in the water business. We are not in the property management business. Jeff Crockett, water superintendent, was here at Public Works and stated that with buildings, typically with suites, commercial businesses, interior walls get moved around. When that happens, then you may have two water services going into an individual suite. So it causes problems in the future. Everyone can sit here today and go, it'll work wonderfully, but 5 years from now when things change, or 10 years from now when things change, then you've got issues with multiple service lines going into one unit. How does that work? So the reason the code was changed in 2012 was to reflect the way things were done a long time ago and to correct the issue that the city has with these types of service lines to commercial properties where the service lines are behind a building. People can stack materials on top of the valve where it's difficult or impossible for city staff to operate them. So in my opinion, the code does not need to be updated. It is correct. The only person this really benefits is Mr. Boomsma because he doesn't have to manage the water. But once again, the city's in the water business, not in the property management business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the two go in hand and should complement each other. And so, does that mean as well that if we have actual residential properties that are leased properties, is it the same thing? It has to go into one line and then dispersed from there? And
that's correct.
And only the owner handles that?
Correct.
And so have we had any variances, or have we allowed that since 2012 to go through on any other properties?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So it's been solid for everybody.
That's correct.
Also, just another reminder is we had the recession, the Great Recession that hit right about the time that this criteria manual was happening, and a lot of things somewhat stopped, and now we're back in growth again to include these wonderful suites coming back. We need these. These are great business locations. I don't know how many Mr. Boomsma's got, but I'm glad to see them. I think it's at a great location. Perhaps this is a time to review this and make sure that we are benefiting the property owner and the businesses that are there, so that if he's trying to do a cost average and you've got a business on one end that's using a lot of water and another business that maybe hardly has any water at all, so he's being fair as well to his tenants. We want to make sure that those properties fail. But it seems like the criteria manual does need to be taken a look at because we are back in the movement of strip malls. So that's my comment along with yours to maybe work together somehow and get more of these in. We've got some property. We want to do some infill, and I think they would be great locations for it. So that's all I have for now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Darla Drew.
Thank you, Mayor. Mine is more of a comment than actually a question or anything. Maybe it'll lead to a question with Dale. But right now, what our code states is that it has one water line, and that's the way it's supposed to be designed. The plans that were submitted were not followed, and I think that proves that there was some kind of, I don't know. Could I ask you a couple questions? Yeah. Hello. So when you submitted the plans, they seemed to follow code, and then what was built did not follow code. So what was your thought process there?
So as I explained to the Public Works Committee, that the original plans were changed by the engineer. This was not built by the seat of our pants. It was changed by the engineer, and there was a disconnect. And I apologize for the disconnect. It was not intentional or meant to be secretive. Everything that has been done, the city staff has inspected. I will tell you that between the construction management department, which manages anything with a 6-inch line or bigger, anything smaller than a 6-inch line, the utility maintenance manages, there's a disconnect there also, because we had utility maintenance on site doing all of these individual 1-inch service taps. So this was not something we were trying to get in the ground and bury. So when the plans were redrawn, there was just a disconnect between the engineer and getting them submitted to the city. And with time that lapsed in this project because of construction delays and design delays, et cetera, it just simply got missed.
Okay. So, but what we would think from what you said is that the engineer did not understand the code that the city has for the water lines here at this strip mall?
I wish I would have provided some more information on the research I've done, but there are several contradicting codes when you're referring to service lines and what's a water main. In the ICDM, it says 6-inch and larger is considered a water main. It talks about individual services to condos, but then the diagram that's drawn shows individual services to condos, and then the code says an individual service needs an individual meter. So there's a lot of contradicting information that it's kind of hard to understand and wade through.
But the difference being that when you talk about the separate service line, that's for a condo, not a business suite.
That's not true, because I can make this 5-unit building condos. I can condo this building out tomorrow with some legal documentation with the state.
Okay, well, I'm going to yield. We've got other people that want to ask some questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chad Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Boomsma, when you said the line was tapped, correct? They came out and they tapped the lines for you, so that's what they do.
Correct.
And then they make a little schematic that they record, correct? And then they record it down at the water department, so everybody knows where the lines actually are when they have to go find them later.
Correct.
Correct. So somewhere along the line, so the staff went out and tapped it, okay, and you hadn't some, even if the plan was not as per drawn or was approved originally, they must not have checked to make sure that was what you had done, or you hadn't. You understand what I'm asking?
So that's where the disconnect between the construction management and the utility maintenance department is.
Right.
Because utility maintenance came out and tapped the 1-inch lines into a 6-inch main that is managed by construction management, and that's, I assume, why utility maintenance tapped it without knowing, because, like I said, there's a little bit of a disconnect between the two departments from what I'm seeing, and this is a prime example of it.
Right. So then you went ahead and, thinking that you had already been tapped and you were good, so you went ahead and backfilled it and compacted it and got it ready to go. And I assume is there anything on top of it, like concrete or asphalt? Or?
So this came up, 2 months ago. So I've left the project in a manner that when, depending on the outcome of this, I can change it so that we have one meter and I can individually meter it. So we're into the construction and it's not going to be a zero cost to me, but I have left the project and the project's progressing, waiting on the outcome so that I can know what direction to go. That is not a huge detriment to me either way.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I understand how it works and I understand why you would probably proceeded ahead thinking that you were fine, because obviously they came out and they tapped it. That's their job, and I don't know, I've been there myself, so I can understand. I will support you. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get anywhere with that, but I do understand what you're trying to do. So everybody understands it's not something that was trying to be hidden. Obviously, the staff comes out and they tap it for you, and you assume that you're good to go, even if, I don't know what happened on the other end. You understand you guys didn't get submitted right or right. There was obviously no deception here, so I don't think it's as big a deal as everybody's making about it. But anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Steve Laurenti.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to deny the appeal.
Second by Darla Drew. Any further discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to deny the appeal. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with one no. All right.
On to community planning.
Yes. Do you? That's kind of tricky, Dane. Did you understand the outcome? I did. Because they voted aye, except they really meant no. So you're not confused.
You're making me feel bad.
No, I know. Darla Drew.
Okay, all right, we're moving on. Okay, item 36, a request by KTM Design Solutions, Inc. for Joseph Simpson for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed lot 6A, 6B, 7A, 7B, a Fountain View subdivision generally described as being located on the north side of Harmony Heights Lane. The recommendation is to approve with stipulations. I move to approve with stipulations.
Second by Drury. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 37, a request by KTM Design Solutions, Inc. for Dakota Heartland, Inc. for a preliminary subdivision plan for proposed Lot 3A, 3B, 3C of Block 1, Lot 1A and Lot 1B of Block 4, Lot 1 of Block 6 of Big Sky Business Park, generally described as being located east of Elkville Road along Timmins Boulevard. The recommendation is to approve with I can't talk tonight. Approve with stipulations. Should I sing it? Okay.
Okay.
I move to approve with stipulations.
Okay, Richie Nordstrom seconded whatever Darla Drew just said. All in favor of approval with stipulations, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. Now on to public hearing items. Items 38. There are no speaker requests on that item. So consent public hearing, it's just item 38.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Scott and a second by Lewis. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 39, non-consent public hearing items. Second reading ordinance 6274, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of Chapter 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by KTM Design Solutions, Inc. for Black Hills Capital LLC for rezoning from General Agricultural District to Medium Density Residential District for property generally described as being located east of Valley Drive and west of Copperfield Vista. Now I'm doing it. Recommendation approve in conjunction with preliminary subdivision plan 18 PL 064. We'll go to Amanda Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make that motion and retain the floor if I can get a second.
Okay, second by Laurenti. Go ahead.
May I ask a follow-up question of Mr. Ken Young, please?
Please.
Thank you. Mr. Young, just wanted to confirm, I looked over the agenda and I did not see 18 PL 064 on this agenda, but I believe we approved that during the first reading. Can you confirm that? Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Thank you. I yield.
Okay, motion on the floor is for approval. All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 40, the bill list, and we'll go to Finance Officer Pauline Sumption.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are no additions to the bill list, so the total is that which is attached at $9,813,861.96.
Second.
Motion to approve by Laurenti and second by Solomon. All in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn? Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any objections? And we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.